Hey, this is Ashley here with DPVNEntertainment right here on DPVN.net. I am standing with Leon. We're good friends now, aren't we, Leon?
Yeah, pretty much.
I tell you what, I'm here with Leon and one of the co-founders of the Williamsburg International Film Festival, Michael Hellman. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Good.
We're excited. This is it. This is what we've been working 2 years on, and it's finally here.
DPVNEntertainment, music, arts, and culture, brought to you by Ashley on the mic. DPVNEntertainment, music, arts, and culture. Don't look any further, cause Ashley's on the scene.
Finally here, Williamsburg International Film Festival, and music, and performing arts, and poetry, and you name it, it's all happening right here. It's the very first annual, and we're going to be here every single year, and I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, now I know it's international, so what is the international aspect of the festival?
Well, we actually have an award-winning Chinese film that's going to be closing the festival, Empire of Silver, which has won many Hong Kong Academy Awards. We have some Indian and Japanese and Mexican films that all the directors are going to be here for the Q&As after the film. So we're very excited that not just do we have international films playing, but all the directors felt that they wanted to be here for the screenings.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And what are you all hoping that, attendees of this festival take away with them?
Just a lot of great art, a lot of great performances, and just a willingness to want to be part of this for years and years to come. Williamsburg, as well as all of Brooklyn, but especially here in Williamsburg, is such an artistic community. And it's actually surprising that there hasn't been a film festival here before.
That's right.
And so now to have this film festival here, I think that once people know about it, because even when I talk about it in interviews like that, people are like, well, I've always liked that spot. It's so Williamsburg's such a great place. There's so many great little spots, and it's such an artistic community. So why not bring the art right here from all around the world? And when you say international, what's international? Just look at this crowd. It's international. It's all about diversity, exactly. So diversify your offerings, diversify your attendees, just diversify. So that's what New York's about. That's what Brooklyn, more than anywhere in New York's about. And that's what we want to bring to North Brooklyn.
All right. Well, we're going to stay posted not only this year, but in the years to come, that this will be an successful event. The first annual Williamsburg Film Festival, also known as the Williefest. This is Ashley here with Michael Hellman and Leon right here on DPVNEntertainment on DPVN.net.
Save this for Brooklyn Decker, not me. Williefest is about more than just film, but also a strong musical component. Again, I must say, you couldn't have picked a better place. I don't need to tell you that Brooklyn plays host to some of the hottest live music in our city. And again, it's Williamsburg that leads the way. Big venues like the Music Hall of Williamsburg, Warsaw and Greenpoint, the Brooklyn Bowl, and of course, the legendary Knitting Factory, which is producing the musical component of Williefest. In fact, when I heard a few years ago that the Knitting Factory was moving its Tribeca home to the right side of the East River, well, let me tell you, that's when I knew that when it comes to live music, Manhattan is yesterday's news, and Brooklyn is where it's at. But speaking of hip, you can applaud.
The Williefest premiere included musical performances by Tatiana Moroz, Mark McAdam, and American Idol finalist Anwar Robinson. The opening film was Pool Party, directed and produced by Beth Al-Allah, a story of an abandoned swimming pool which was once the largest in New York City, and it was brought to life by incredible music that filled its basin for 3 short summers. Weekend's events included panel discussions led by film industry leaders, music performances by S. Navi, Katie Steele, and Jesse Idol. Attendees had the opportunity to view dozens of short films, in addition to a photography exhibit by leading jazz photographer Enid Farber, who we had the pleasure of speaking with at the Williefest premiere back in September.
'Cause Ashley's on the scene.
We're in the bright lights here at DPVN Entertainment. This is Ashley here with Enid Farber, a very talented photographer whose work is going to be featured at the first annual Williefest. How are you doing tonight, Enid?
I'm doing good. Thank you. It's great to meet you guys.
You also, now we've seen a little bit of your work, and I know you're going to show our viewers. How did you first become interested in photography?
Well, it's in my blood. I grew up in the South, as I mentioned, Music was in our household. My brother was a pianist. He played piano. He actually ended up having a semi-professional career as a pianist. We used to listen to, my parents were into jazz. We were listening to incredible music in my house. I was listening to whatever great African American music I could get on the radio in the South in the 60s and 70s, which was hard. You know, we didn't get any jazz, but we got the best R&B. When I went to college in 1974 in Rhode Island, I sort of inherited my first professional camera.
Okay.
And when I was young, I wanted to be a writer. I thought writing was going to be my instrument of choice. But it didn't take very long when I got my first camera to realize that's the camera. I mean, that's the instrument that I wanted to play, the camera.
Are you yourself a jazz photographer per se?
I do. I think I'm most known for my jazz work, but my work is broader than that. I mean, I definitely have music that I don't delve into. Not a lot of pop, not a lot of rock, not a lot of classical, but mostly jazz world. I shot a lot of reggae, a lot of African, and Latin music, Latin jazz, salsa. But yeah, my most iconic images are really jazz and probably reggae too, and some African.
Okay. Yeah. And who are some of the artists that you've had the privilege of photographing?
A lot. I mean, one of the first great legends that I had the privilege of photographing, which I can show you in this book, was Bob Marley. And I'm going to have a 20 by 30 print of a backstage photo I shot of him in 1979 in Atlanta. But I have some great people like Marley, Fela Kuti, Miles Davis, Ella Fitzgerald, Dizzy Gillespie, Bill Clinton. India, I have India RE in the exhibit.
Oh, I love it.
And I have 20 by 30 of her that's going to be in the exhibit. Just because I love the image so much, even though that's not usually the genre I shoot. I shot her at a festival in Barbados.
Now, of all the artists that you've gotten to work with, is there a favorite? Is there one that you just have, the most fun time shooting this particular artist?
One story, when we talk about Bob Marley, ironically, I was telling someone about it tonight. And I have something I wrote about riding in a limousine with him. And the only reason I was doing that is because we were trying to fool the paparazzi after his concert at the Fox Theater in Atlanta in '79 when I shot him there. And we were trying to elude them. And we just got into the limousine, myself, Bob Marley, and his keyboard player, Tyrone Downey, and rode around in circles in downtown Atlanta when we were going to an after party across the street. And I was wearing those Chinese slippers. You remember? Well, you're young.
But in my
She
heart,
can tell you about it.
My soul is old.
Chinese slippers. They were my shoes. And I don't even know what I wrote in here, but I can tell you, he just was laughing hysterically.
Well, lastly, tell us, what does it mean to you to have your work exhibited at the Williefest?
Well, I'm really excited because it's a great, not only confluence of my life events. I know Michael Hellman since, 20 years probably. He actually lives in the old apartment I used to live in.
Yeah.
So I was honored that he asked me to be the featured artist. Even though my work is probably not necessarily reflecting the genre of the music that will be at the festival, I will have just some really striking images that I think will complement it. So it's going to be fun, and I hope it contributes to the overall visual success.
Right. And we are sure that it will. We are sure that it will. We're glad that you will be able to take part in sharing your work, your photography at this year's Williefest. This is Enid Farber here on DPVN Entertainment on DPVN.net. Hey, this is Ashley here. I'm on the red carpet at the Williefest with Deshaun Moses. He's an actor, producer, and an author. How you doing tonight?
All right, and yourself? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Why are you here supporting the Williefest?
For the most part, Williefest, first time. So,
Okay.
we always got to support first time. And also, I'm from Brooklyn, so if I'm going to support anything, I'm going to support the Williefest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for the most part, I'm kind of working on a project right now. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people in the past, be it Denzel and Brad Pitt, and set up scenes for Tyrese in his movies. But I have a book right now that's going to come out called Life, Living From Experience. So it's based on my experience, but I wrote it and figuring that my experience is yours. We just click at different times.
Okay.
DPVNEntertainment, music, arts, and culture, brought to you by Ashley on the mic. DPVNEntertainment, music, arts, and culture. Don't look any further, 'cause Ashley's on the scene.